Today on the Arizona Cardinals Squad Show, what makes this Cardinals group so different? Will Johnson is officially signed. What took so long? And who's someone in the start of training camp through the preseason that could potentially be someone that could break out this season? Let's go.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals Squad. Sponsored by Game Time. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
Welcome back into the Locked On Cardinals Squad Show. I'm Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show, mornings on YouTube, and a credentialed Arizona Cardinals media member. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals Show your first listen on this beautiful Tuesday. And don't forget to make Locked On Cardinals, or don't forget that Locked On Cardinals is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do it. Thousands, dare I say millions of other Cardinals fans have already done. Become an everyday and get locked on to the Arizona Cardinals right here each and every day. Today's sponsor of the show, FanDuel. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Joining me today from your regularly scheduled Locked On Cardinals show, Alex Clancy, who is coughing in my ear, and right next to him also Jamil Douglas, former ASU football alum and NFL offensive lineman and Super Bowl champion. What's up, fellas? You guys get all the everything out of your throats? So was that Jamil or was that Clancy? Just talking?
Yeah, it's just the later in the day. The later in the day we go, the harder it is to talk.
Okay, well,
you guys.
If that's true with your human life, I just feel bad for you outside of the hour. Every 2 days a week we spend together. But
I think it's hilarious because you guys have been giving me so much gripe for having to do the show later. Some of us have jobs. You don't just get to live out in San Diego all day, hanging out with friends and doing nothing.
He's lucky. He's got it made. He's got it made.
Come on, bro.
All right, guys, let's get the show started off right here. I actually got this topic from Clancy's Locked On Cardinals show the other day from, again, the regularly scheduled programming. But I thought it might be interesting to dive into because we are on the cusp of the NFL season. Once training camp starts with media and we get video and all that nonsense on Thursday, technically, I guess camp really begins tomorrow with veterans and rookies showing up. But it's going to get hot and heavy here. We have a football game in a couple of days here in the Hall of Fame game. Cardinals will play in 2 weeks, their preseason game. So I want to frame it like this. We have continued to talk about that this year's Cardinals team is different. The Cardinals have been, let's just be honest about it, a loser organization since their existence, and especially over the last 8 years or so. And now we're talking about potentially this team being different. I want to talk about why I think it is different this year, but I want to get into everyone's opinion why this season might actually be a different year where potentially they're going for a divisional playoff or divisional win or make it the playoffs as a whole. So Clancy, I'll start with you, man.
I mean, the roster is the best one Kyler Murray's ever had, probably at any level. Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis' defense is on the precipice, at least on paper, of having a top 5 ceiling. You brought back all the usual suspects. You re-signed everybody, even, irrespective of them not adding a bigger name or drafting a wide receiver. Marv is set to be that, Robin to Trey McBride's Batman, or having 2 Batmans on the same damn roster. Like, everything is lining up on top of the fact that they've got a cake first 8 weeks, as close to easy as an NFL schedule gets. The difference is the culmination of the last 3 off seasons, not just because something massive happened this offseason. And the Cardinals are finally ready to rip back into relevancy.
Well, hey, look, I think, again, like he said, on paper, everything looks good for this team. I think that if you just look from top to bottom, you would have to have the impression that this is going to be one of those years where the Cardinals finally make it over the hump. Obviously, it's early. We know that things happen during the season, and, you know, games have to be played, games have to be won in order to get to that point. But, man, when you look at the offense, you got weapons on offense. I think, you know, James Conner, like we've talked about, he's still a back that can give you that average 4 or 5 a carry. You've got receivers, you got a tight end, you got a defense. You got a quarterback. I know Benjamin doesn't want me to say it, but you got a quarterback that can win you some games. So I just think on paper it looks good, and you would have to have that feeling that this is the year. And if it's not, then I don't know what else you have to address.
I'm going to be honest with you because, you know, just piggybacking off of Jamil's point where, you know, you mentioned that I'm probably not going to be thrilled with the quarterback part. I think this team, and including Kyler Murray, has everything around it to finally succeed. I do worry about the defense only from an aspect of they don't have that defensive anchor pass rusher that you can pencil in for 12.5 sacks year in and year out. But to be fair, like 7 teams have that, and teams that don't have that make the playoffs every single year. I look at the competency of Jonathan Gannon, and I look at the competency of Monty Ossenfort, and with the really good coaching staff that they have around them. However, we keep saying it's different, and the defense is revamped, but the defense last year wasn't the problem. It's the same exact Cardinals offense from last year, for better or for worse. There's continuity between Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray for a third straight season. Outside of the addition of maybe an offensive lineman or two, it's the exact same offense. So I want to be convinced that the offense is going to take that next leap, but I'm just not exactly sure I can just blindly say it's going to do that, because last year I blindly said this team is going to take a leap. They're going to be a playoff team, and maybe I was ahead of myself. Maybe that's this year. But I know why the defense is going to be different. I know why by maybe the special teams will be different, or the coaching staffs can continue to be better. I just have real questions with the offensive side of the ball. Disagreements there?
Well, no. I mean, here's the thing: Darren. I don't know what Ben's smoking either. You know, it's fine. So, like, we're just rolling with the punches here, baby. Darren Lewis is a lovely Locked On Cardinals P1. So here's the thing: one question mark going into this season compared to last season was how much of the offense was predicated upon helping the defense. We've talked about this over and over and over again. The defense wasn't equipped talent-wise to necessarily be able to hold up against the top teams in the league. So was the Cardinals offense catered to that in some capacity? That's one. Number two, how many NFL teams don't have a Trey McBride and a James Conner? Many. Like a top 12 running back, a top 5 tight end, many. Okay, you've got running back by committee. You don't have guys you can trust. The Cardinals have a couple dudes who can get it done when they need them to. The offensive line is probably going to be a bit of a question, but we'll see if Jonah Williams is healthy. Like, if they've got bookend tackles and Yalta Furholt in the middle, you figure it out. You know, we'll see if Jonah can stay healthy. Big fundamental. Kelvin Beacham's coming back for year 14. He's been great ever since, signing with the Cardinals a few years ago. The cohesion between the two sides is what's going to be tested, as you've said. But if I had to pick one side that had a higher ceiling, if everything were to go right, I would still probably take the offense, but it's close. The biggest playmakers, aside from Budda Baker, are on the offense. Like, true bona fide game-changing playmakers that we've seen are on the offense. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, you're probably looking at a different quarterback and a different OC next year.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think it has to work. I mean, if you look at, like you said, you look at these guys on paper, I don't know what could possibly make it not work. I mean, you got guys all over the field that guys will be happy to have on their team. And so it has to work for these guys. And I hope it does. I'm ready for the season to kick off so that we can see it. And I'm expecting a big year out of Kyler Murray, just giving it some thought.
Do you think Kyler feels the pressure? Or do you think it's just because I don't know if this is necessarily Kyler Murray's last year in Arizona, regardless of what happens, because of how big his cap number is. And because something Clancy keeps mentioning, which I think is very much worth mentioning, You want to move off from Kyler Murray, then what? It's why I've never continuously advocated for like the guy's got to be out of here because he is still better than half the other quarterbacks in the league. However, if this isn't the year that it is different, I'm afraid it's never going to be different until you have a different quarterback. So, like, if you're the quarterback, if you're Kyler, or if you're a player at all, do you think he feels that pressure? I mean, is that going to be something that helps or makes it worse?
I mean, obviously he wants to perform well, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
what's the pressure? Like, what is it to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, to know that this is the best team that you've had, and I would agree with Clancy on that because sometimes people try to argue that the 2020 team was better, the 2021 team, whatever it was. This team's much better, especially defensively. This team is better, and it's got better depth.
Yeah,
it feels like all the signs are pointing towards Kyler has to be the guy. We continuously beat that over and over and over again, but it's the truth.
I think he feels that. I definitely think he feels that, especially in their division, given where everything is. You see the Seahawks are going through a quarterback change. You know, the Rams have been the Rams, but Kyler's been on the Cardinals, and Kyler's got to get it done. So I definitely think he's going to feel that pressure, but I don't know that it's like weighing him down. I don't think it's at that point, you know, like I don't think there's enough to be.
He doesn't feel like it's all or nothing this year is what you're saying.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because he's going to be an NFL quarterback for the next 10 years. It doesn't matter if it's on the Cardinals or not. He's going to get paid in the NFL to be a quarterback. Like, for me, he's playing for a new contract. Like,
100%.
This year, like, here's the thing. This is something that people don't – this is why we do it here. 6 months before anybody else talks about it, Ben. Welcome to the Cardinals family. Jamil, this is how we do things here. If they win 12 games, they could extend them before next season because that'll lower the cap number. It'll allow them to sign another big-name guy. And it'll kind of kick the can down the road like what the Saints did for 15 years with Drew Brees to be able to continue to build this, even though he's on his second big boy contract. He's a Bruce Lee dude, man. He's calm. Like, this is what he is. He's a video game player. He's calm. He's not partying in Old Town Scottsdale. Like, I don't think it's as much pressure as disappointment in and of himself as to what's happened the last couple seasons. Just like Marv. Like, that's the motivation that drives these dudes. Jamil can attest to it. It's like, it's internalized more than, I don't give a crap what a talking head says. I was embarrassed by my performance last year. So that's what's going to, you know, drill me into that next echelon. Because believe it or not, that dude will get a contract. Say they win 12 games and win a playoff game, they're going to ink it. It's like, why wait? Set and forget, move on.
Mm-hmm. You know, last year we talked about the offense is going to be the strong suit of this team. The defense is not going to be the Cardinals are going to have to outscore teams to win games. And largely that wasn't the case, especially later in the season. The defense now, I feel like because they passed the test of being kind of mediocre last year, but playing mediocre in terms of talent, but playing above their pay grade, that you add more talent to it. And Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawls are both super smart guys. I wonder, like, I keep on saying this, man. NFL seasons are weird. There is no Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen in the NFC. And so people think I'm nuts, man. But, like, I could see this Cardinals team being I'm not joking, legitimate Super Bowl team because anything can happen in the NFC. Who knows? Maybe Jalen Hurts gets hurt. Then it's really wide open with the Eagles out of the picture as well. I just think you have to be ready for this moment. And if you fall flat on your face in an NFC that could be lackluster and you miss your opportunity to even just show up in a conference championship game, that's why I feel like maybe not there's pressure on Kyler, but I know we are wishing that the offense looks different this year. But man, with Petzing, dude, I'll believe it when I see it with Kyler running the ball more, Petzing opening up the playbook more, because we continuously wanted to see that last year, but it was conservative. And I just don't know if you can win a championship that way. Yeah, that's my concern with this team.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's fair. Like, put it this way. The reason why I'm so confident in the longer term relevancy and just perpetual relevancy, which is something that's difficult to sustain in the NFL, is say it doesn't work with K1 and Drew Petzing, 25 dudes lining up to be the OC for this team, 20 quarterbacks lining up to be like, and there's power in being able to not be attached to who's actually calling the shots on and off the field right now. You look at this set and forget roster. start, on both sides of the ball without Kyler Murray, without Drew Petzing. Everybody's going to want to be a part of this organization now. Right?
Oh, no. Sorry, I thought you were continuing. Yeah, no. I mean,
yeah. The other thing, like with the offense, I think the conservative nature was just a far cry from what Cliff was. Like Steve Wilkes to Cliff, it's like two different football languages. I feel like the evolution of this offense is really going to take shape this year. It can't not. There's too much film to be like, okay, don't do that anymore. Don't do that anymore. We've seen it.
I just continuously be cautiously optimistic. And that's why this segment is here, because like, I do think it's going to be different this year, man. I just wonder how different. Is it drastically different? Is it only a little different? And then it just changes up to be, I don't know, more of the same from years on out, because I really think the Cardinals have a chance, which is why I keep arguing, go get the big name. Like, I think this could be the chance where things break your way. You could be a conference championship team or a Super Bowl team.
That wasn't part of the plan. It would have been the first thing they did. It would have been the first thing they did. Listen,
I don't want to make it. I don't want to change the subject on anyone, but like it is. I do think it's a little frustrating to go from the like, okay, the Cardinals are going to win 8 games, then we're going to win 9 games, then we're going to be a divisional team. Like growth like that growth in the NFL isn't linear like that. I think oftentimes you get caught flat-footed. 2 years ago when the Lions didn't make the playoffs, just barely, but then make the conference championship game. And you're like, well, if I was the Lions, maybe I would have added an extra piece. So the Commanders last year didn't even come close to the playoffs. Then they make the conference championship game. My point is just like, be ready for the moment. I get it. It might be a little too much and I won't fight it on that. But like, if anything, forget the big name. Kyler, I just think has to be ready. Okay. There's also more news. Will Johnson, everyone's favorite second-round pick, has finally signed the dotted line. And be honest with you guys, we haven't talked about it until now because I was just kind of hoping we never would have to, but now we get to in a positive way. Let's talk about that next.
This episode of the Cardinal Squad Show is brought to you by our friends at Rougiette. Guys, you probably heard of Viagra, Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast in under 15 minutes, and it could last up to 36 hours, bro. That's a day and a half for math majors. So you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. And I love that it's completely online, too. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. So go to Rougiette.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information.
Muted.
Yeah.
Moving the show along, we got more
sure.
things. Yeah,
definitely not Rougiette ready.
Moving the show along, we got a lot of things to talk about here. Will Johnson has officially signed his contract. I think he is the second to last rookie to sign his deal, but going into yesterday, there were only the 3 rookies who hadn't signed their second round deal. That being one of Shamar Stewart, Will Johnson, and someone who else I can't remember. Will Johnson is Quinshon Judkins, who got in trouble and is arrested. So that also, or at least is dealing with some legal trouble. So it was kind of a little worrisome where you're like, someone that you thought was supposed to be a first round pick falls the second round, maybe fighting for more guaranteed money. Clancy, I'll start with you, man. Why do you think it took this long?
So I'm going to give you guys 2 options. Both are rational, and I think the reason why it took this long was so both could work in synchronicity. Looking at it from the player side, or from the Cardinals side, I don't think this has anything to do with the injury aspect of it. Okay, I think this has everything to do with how much can we push this to get more guaranteed money to them so he can feel earned and he can feel wanted as a second-round pick when he was supposed to go top 15. Okay? And I think what the Cardinals have been able to do with the signings this entire offseason is they didn't push beyond the pale for anybody. The guys they retained, the free agents they brought in with Dalvin, Calais, and Josh Sweat. And then on Will Johnson's side, it's like, listen, I was supposed to get top 15 money. I'm getting half of that without an extra fifth year. So I want to get as much as I possibly can. And I think it took a little while, but they found that number that both smiled at. And this is why we're here. I don't think this has anything to do with any sort of deficiencies between both teams, between both sides, nor any sort of injury stuff with Will Johnson. I mean, he said he was 70% around combine time, and now he's at 100%. So the Cardinals got a steal, and they got it for a second-round pick money. So what do you think? Like, do you think that's about right? Like, that's the only rational way I can kind of think as to why it took so long.
Yeah, I agree. I think it had to do everything with guarantees. I think that they wanted to do right by him, show good faith. Again, first-round talent. I got a chance to go watch the guy when he played against Texas, Michigan versus Texas, and the ball rarely came over there, which tells me that he had respect in college football. And I love the way this guy plays. I just think he's going to be one of those guys that can translate his game to the NFL. But yeah, I'm not looking too far into it. I don't think it was injury based. I don't think there was anything, out of the ordinary, other than they kind of wanted to hammer out some numbers and get the guy something that he will feel comfortable with and both sides could agree on. So I'm glad that they got it done, because it's just one less thing to worry about with their talented secondary.
I don't know what it was. I would probably agree with Clancy that it was probably more so, again, obviously about the money and just trying to get every X amount dollar he could, because it wasn't like a Shamar Stewart situation. Now, I think with Shamar, some of that as it's unfolded, it's a little bit more Cincinnati Bengals than maybe Stewart. But Will Johnson was showing up to voluntary workouts and OTAs and rookie mini camps, and everyone was expecting him to show up to training camp yesterday. I don't really know what took so long, but honestly, I don't really care. The deal got done. They met the deadline to do it, the unofficial deadline just for camp and everything, and I'm happy it's done. Yeah. However, we haven't had a chance to really talk about Will Johnson, but it's everyone's sweetheart because he fell in the second round. I actually was advocating to potentially draft this guy at 14 where the Arizona Cardinals were picking, because cornerback is a premium position. I think because Jonathan Gannon's deep roots in the defensive back room, I think he could help develop him. But then the reports kind of came out. What are your guys' expectations for Will Johnson in year one? Because I think people might be overhyping a rookie cornerback in year one. Not that I'm saying that he's not. I don't think he's going to be awesome. I just think the hardest learning curve is going from guarding Panera Bread State and McDonald's University's wide receiver one to now every day you're guarding Marvin Harrison Jr. in camp. I just think it's a tough learning curve. So I think for the first 6 weeks, he might struggle like any elite level cornerback going from college to the pros. But they kind of need him to be great right away. Where do you guys stand on that?
I don't know. I don't know that they need him to be great right away. This isn't a team that doesn't have any DBs, like they have guys that can play on the back end, safeties, corners. So it's not like he's walking into a space expecting to be the guy. He has time to develop. He obviously needs to make plays, but I don't know that he has that pressure on him to be great right away, in a sense of like he's got to be have a Jalen Ramsey type rookie year or something. I think he has time to kind of grow and learn from the guys that are in that room as well.
Yeah, no, that's right. He wasn't drafted to save the position. That's it. He was drafted to be a part of the position, to elevate the position. Budda Baker's played in the league for going on 9 years now. He's never had two cornerbacks on one team that were good. Like not once. Go back. The best cornerback tandem he had was in 2019 when Patrick Peterson missed the first 6 weeks because he was a cheater. And Byron Murphy was statistically the worst cornerback in football, giving up the most touchdowns. That was the best DB duo that he's had. You probably say Garrett Williams and Max Melton last year were the best. So this is not something that he's not used to. Will Johnson's ceiling is still CB1. When the Cardinals were drafting at 16 during the Locked On Cardinals mock draft, I had him taking Will Johnson because he fell. Walter Nolan went way higher. This is a Looney Tunes situation that they got both guys. I don't care if Will Johnson tore his ACL the day before training camp or the day before the combine, like before the draft. You still draft him in the second round at 47 because he's that kind of talent. The dude had 2 pick sixes last year. He's the Saquon Barkley of corners. I'm saying that like he's a home run waiting to happen. Any snap, anytime the ball is thrown his way, I don't care about the position. And he's got the family in place in the DB room to be able to do what he wants when you've got 3 absolute like missile launchers behind him with Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, and Dadrian Taylor-Demerson's going to be starting probably week 6. He and Budda Baker are going to be best friends back there. They're waiting to hit people. So if Will Johnson has a tough first 6 weeks, like Jamil said, or Ben, maybe it was you, like there's no rush for him to learn any faster than what a rookie cornerback needs to learn the pace at. There's no rush. They've got the pass rush also. Like this is a perfect system for a young corner who has CB1, potential to learn it.
Mm-hmm. I want to continue to say, like, I do think he's going to be a very good cornerback for years to come. I just think it's really tough to go from you're shutting down every wide receiver in the country, even the elite ones, because most of the time you're playing on a really good defense and you've got some help with you as well, like to a defense that's good, but every wide receiver that you play against is probably 100 times better than 95% of the wide receivers you played in college. So,
well, that's the NFL that you can't say that. It doesn't matter. I mean, they play,
I just want to get
is the toughest division in football. It's the toughest conference in college football. All they do is play ranked guys.
Yeah. No, I think he's going to be awesome. I just don't want people, like, I don't expect anyone in this YouTube space right now to be in 6 weeks where maybe he struggled a little bit, like not anything crazy, to say, oh, this guy's a bust. No wonder he fell in the draft. Now we understand.
People are going to do that. People are going to do that. Yeah,
I want to I'm just trying to temper the expectations just a little bit. Like for the first 6-7 weeks, because he's been crowned as this dude's going to be awesome. And I think he's going to be as well. But like, I want to be, he's a second round pick. Not that I think he's a true second round pick, but like he's a second round pick. Max Melton was last year. Let's treat him with the same sort of, give him a little bit of time to learn. I do like, and again, this is the other thing that you guys had said, like, no, he's not here to save the position. However, the defense, because I'm still a little skeptical about the offense, is going to be asked to hold really good teams this year to 25 points, like 23, 25, 21 points, right? Teams are going to score in the NFL. Yeah. And he's going to be a key piece of that. Man, I would agree with you. I think it's going to be the best cornerback tandem that Budda Baker has ever had. I just am tempering the expectations a little bit for Will Johnson, even though he's a guy that I wanted with the 14th overall pick. Does that make sense?
Kind of. I mean, they were the 15th best defense in the NFL with no talent last year. I think you're severely undervaluing Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon's ability to elevate lower than average talent. Like, I'm expecting Will Johnson to come in and be a stud in some form or fashion. Ben, let's put it this way. This is what, and this is the dumbest way to say it. This is the only way I know how I'm not a very smart person. The oh no moments when you see a rookie not ready to be on an NFL field. Jamil, you've seen it firsthand 100 times. It's like, yep, that kid's not ready. He's not, and it's not his fault. If you can diminish the oh no moments, if those aren't there, that's a fantastic floor for any rookie. I think that's my dumbed down way of looking at it. Like Isaiah Simmons and Zayvon Collins didn't know they were in the NFL yet during the preseason, during their first couple of weeks. They had no idea what they were doing. Especially I don't think you're going to see that from any of the rookies this year, including Katan Crawford, who was drafted in the 7th round. They're just drafting different dudes now. The IQ is just through the roof, comparatively speaking. Sorry to go long-winded, but like Jamil, you know what oh no looks like from rookies.
Yeah, I've been in that position before.
Yeah, all the best ones too.
Yeah, it's part of the process. I don't think, and people look, if he gives up a touchdown in the first couple of weeks, someone's gonna say, "Oh, this guy he's a bust. But like, let's just be honest. Like, corner is one of the hardest positions to play on the field, and so much has to go right in order for a corner to play to his fullest potential. He depends on the pass rush. He depends on guys being in the right spot. So we're not going to see the same guy jumping routes on guys that he did in college, because you'll get burned like that in the NFL. But we are going to see his traits that he has. We're going to see those on display, and I think he'll be just fine. It's going to be one of those things where if they do it the right way, this is like, I mean, the upside to drafting a guy at what was it, 47? 40. The upside of drafting a guy at 47 that should have been a first-round pick is just, it makes you feel like a genius. So I'm excited to see it.
Well, with camp pretty much here, by the time people finish this show, given the fact that it's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, when everyone starts to report, there's going to be some camp potential heroes that we can kind of talk about. I'm going to have everyone pick a guy. I don't care if it's Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't care if it's big brain knowledge, the third string safety, Keaton Crawford out of Nevada, where we're going to talk about he could potentially be someone that could come out of nowhere and start. Let's dive deep into some training camp positions, players, and some guys that could potentially stick out for all the best reasons. Let's talk about that next. First, I got to tell you about my friends over at BetterHelp. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Workplace stress is at an all-time high. 61% of the global workforce is reporting higher than normal stress levels. This summer is a perfect time to take small steps to focus on your wellness and manage the challenges that come with your workday. Of course, most of us can't just quit our jobs or take endless vacations, but we can start small, whether it's getting outside or for a few minutes adding movement into your day, or talking to someone who can help you navigate into life's challenges. That's where BetterHelp comes into play. Do you have any boundaries that you're wanting to set? Therapy can help you set boundaries at work so stress doesn't spill over for the rest of your life. Listen, if you're someone like myself, I can continuously overbear myself with way too many different avenues. And I've been to therapy before, but instantly in the back of my mind, I was thinking, maybe I should talk to someone, feeling like I'm pulled from all different areas, getting advice, having someone kind of guide me through that, why it stresses me out, taking out some of the stresses from that kind of stuff. That is what BetterHelp Therapy can help do for you. As the largest online therapy provider, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off the first month at BetterHelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, guys, keeping the show moving. With training camp fast approaching, mentioned just a few minutes ago, it'll be here tomorrow. I want to take some time to potentially pick out one or two players that you think is someone that maybe we're not talking about too much, or potentially someone that you think is going to come out like Marvin Harrison Jr. with his hair on fire and show everyone that he's ready to catch every 50-50 ball and make them 90-10 balls, or the guy that can come out, steal a starting spot, potentially be a Pro Bowler or someone that helps elevate the room. I don't want anyone to take mine. And I've been on this guy since last year, so I'm going to go first. Xavier Weaver, a wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals out of Colorado. It was almost 3 years ago where I was watching Xavier Weaver against Colorado State when he was playing with Colorado and Shedeur Sanders, Jimmy Horn and company. And I immediately noticed this guy on the field, and I wanted the Cardinals to take a flyer on this guy in the draft, and they ended up getting him as a UDFA. He's twitchy. He's one of those guys that I feel like has game speed. Maybe 0 to 40 yards, not going to be the fastest guy, but a twitchy athlete that can get guys off their heels, make dudes miss, and I think has the ability to go get the occasional jump ball. We've talked about Greg Dortch. We've talked about Michael Wilson, and to an extent, Zay Jones. I think you're talking about Xavier Weaver being not just a special team guy this year, but I think the third wide receiver on this team, the fourth option overall behind Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Michael Wilson. But I think that's a guy that I saw flash in training camp last year, and I was telling people on the sidelines, along with other people, like, that kid can play. So that would be my guy that I think has the potential of moving in from that, first-year rookie role, kickoff return, special teams duties, to a real prominent player in this offense. I'll say someone that I think can get 500 yards this year and score a few timely touchdowns. Clancy?
Yeah, Greg Dortch is mine. I think that there's such a hole necessary for him. I've got two, so I'm just going to tell you two. Greg Dortch is mine, and it's because Ockman's razor, the simplest solution is usually the right one. He's in the offense. They haven't used him properly. Whenever he's been used, he's produced. I'm a damn, broken clock on this. It's the preseason. It's after they're out of playoff contention. The dude's got scoot. The dude catches everything. The dude and Kyler Murray have that it between the two of them. But the big one for me is Trey Benson. This is the year where it's like, oh man, you got two of these like dumb Adonis running backs in the backfield. Like, this isn't fair. And Trey Benson at Florida State, after breaking his leg and then transferring to Florida State, I can't remember where he went first. Doesn't really matter. But the dude is ready to supplant James Conner in like a year from now. And I see the emergence this year. He's got everything you want out of a back. And you've got a run-first offense. If you got two of these dudes back, I'm not saying dumb, I'm saying like stupid talented. You've got two of these dudes back there, all bets are off for what this offense is going to look like. So he's mine with Greg Dortch as an honorable mention.
I do love the running back pick, but I'm going to stay in the wide receiver room. I'm going to say Zay Jones because I'm going to say Zay Jones. And because I remember a day when I was playing with the Titans and Zay Jones was having his way in Jacksonville. He was one of the better receivers. Every time you turned on ESPN, the guy was making plays. And I think that if he can do that for the Cardinals, I mean, I was looking at some stats earlier. He had 82 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. That type of production for a quarterback like Kyler Murray, even half of that is, enough given the weapons that are on the offensive side of the ball. I think if Zay Jones can kind of revive himself with the Cardinals, it'll help that offense kind of just open up some pass lanes and the run game as well.
Why do you guys think Zay Jones, outside of the fact that obviously he was suspended last year for, I think it was performance and I think it was PEDs. But why do you guys think, was it for something else off the field? Regardless,
it was domestic. It was some sort of domestic issue.
Well, I guess that's not regardless. That's not a good thing. But either way, he was off the field last year. He was a part of the Cardinals later in the season. Why do you guys think they never got him involved? I was kind of surprised that they brought him back this year.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because he wasn't very involved in the offense, and I kind of wanted him to be. I thought last year that was a sneaky, like Monty Ossenfort signature signing that I thought someone that could have 600 yards and maybe supplant Michael Wilson as the number 2.
Yeah. Well, I think go ahead, Jamil.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I mean, you need a vet presence in there. They're a bunch of kids. And kids like young adults, I don't call them kids to demean. Like, they're kids. They're kids. Like Michael Wilson's the elder statesman and he's 25. Having a dude like Zay to kind of teach him the ropes. They're very particular type of avatar of NFL players. And Jamil, obviously you can attest to this, that vets who are big, I call it the Andy Daltons that don't care. I'm there to teach the young guys. I'm here to collect a paycheck, more money than I should for what I see on the field, but I'm here to mentor. It's in my blood. And it's it doesn't have to be wide receiver. It doesn't have to be quarterback. It could be any position. I'm sure you had one at offensive line at one of your various stops. That's what Zay's perfect for. Zero ego. If he gets the looks, he gets the looks, but you're not going to hear a peep from him otherwise.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think you don't rush Zay Jones onto the field or into the system as much because you did have the production of Michael Wilson. If Michael Wilson wasn't producing on the field, I think then there's that that chance to kind of turn and say, okay, where can we get this production from? But seeing the potential that Michael Wilson has, it kind of allows you to just slow play that Zay Jones getting on the field. And I think there's a reason why they kept him around. They understand the potential he has, and they've seen the playmaking abilities that he has down the field. So there's a reason why he's there, and I'm sure we're going to see his name. I would hope we see his name this year.
I want to get to one of Clancy's guys too. I worry about Trey Benson a little bit not because of Trey Benson, but because of Drew Petzing's like love affair for Amari DiMercato, which I simply don't understand. Especially, I think he picks up pass blocking assignments better, but earlier in the season he did. Outside of that, I'm not really sure what Amari DiMercato did better than Trey Benson later in the season. So maybe he does become the number 2. I kind of hate Greg Dortch, and here's why. He's now, to be fair, Greg Dortch, like the person, the guy, like I've actually met Greg Dortch before. Cool. Good dude. The player I kind of hate a little bit. And here's why. He looked really good in the second half of that Cardinals season when Kyler Murray came back. And a part of that is like, he's a 5'8" guy. He's really small. I think he's been miscast. Like I think Clancy's projecting him to be as like a wide receiver 2 or even really a wide receiver 3. I really like Greg Dortch as like find him after you found Marv and McBride and Wilson, and then you throw it to Greg Dortch and you're pissed off because the smallest guy on the field is somehow, making some dude fall to the ground by juking him out and taking a ball 50 yards. I like Greg Dortch as the 3 catches a game for 40 yards, and one of them went for 25 yards, and it pisses off the defense. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Greg Dortch as the number 2 guy on this team. Like, I just don't physically, I don't like it.
Is it because of his height? Is it his height?
No, I think it's that. I think it's the fact that largely in the NFL, dudes that aren't 6'2" and yes, for every Julian Edelman who's a smaller guy and Greg Dortch, I can name 15 other Hall of Famers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Marvin Harrison Sr., or Devontae Adams or Cooper Kupp, bigger wide receivers that were better for teams overall. So like, I just think him as the 4th guy better than him being as the 2 guy. I hate the idea of drawing up plays for Greg Dortch when I've got mammoths on this team who I should be doing it for.
Yeah, obviously you haven't watched that league episode about the height and being, a height supremacist, I think is what they called people. Because it was Darren Sproles and it was, Wes Welker is above the height has nothing to do with it. The height has absolutely nothing to do with it. When it comes down to Greg Dortch, he is the only wide receiver on this roster with true breakaway speed. The only one. Like, truly the only one. If you're able to get him in space, let the kid eat. Rondale Moore took years away from Greg Dortch, unfortunately, because they not only didn't know how to use Rondale Moore, he also couldn't stay healthy, and Greg Dortch was on the roster, and they still didn't know how to use him properly. So I understand in theory, but the only dude who doesn't look like the rest is Greg Dortch, and that could be a massive upside thing if molded through properly. Like, he's the only dude with his skill set of all the wide receivers. I understand 6'4" is sexier when it comes to wide receivers on the outside. Nobody's pretending him to be an outside receiver. Get him in the middle. Get him between the tackles. Get him against the backers and see what happens.
But I'd rather Marv get those slot looks, crossing route looks than ever for Greg Dortch.
You can unlock more guys. That's the problem with this offense. They only use Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, it's easy to scheme bracket against when you only use 2 dudes. Jamil?
That's what you got. That's what you got Zay Jones for, to go across the middle. That's what you got your Michael Wilsons to go across the middle.
So you agree with him?
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think that Greg Dortch, when I think about Greg Dortch, I think about Greg Dortch as a Jakeem Grant when I was with the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
I think about Greg Dortch as a Khalif Raymond when I was with the Titans. Somebody that we didn't draw up plays for, but on a play action, he would stretch the middle of the field, and if the safety didn't carry him, the ball was going to him. That may have been 1 or 2 plays a game, but he stayed warm on the sideline, and he was ready when he needed to go in. So I agree with you, Clancy, from that standpoint. I think he's somebody that you want to get him in the game 5 plays, 10 plays a game, just to see if you can scare defenses in a way that opens up other things.
And it's not perfect, man. Like what you're saying isn't irrational. It's like look at God, what's the wide receiver? Khalil Shakir in Buffalo.
Yeah,
he's
love
short,
that dude.
And he's their best receiver. Like we're not talking Tyreek Hill here, okay? I'm not talking the 0.1 percenters of the position with the speed and everything, but it's like, what's one thing that's missing from this offense? You said, everybody said, being explosive. And if you can get him on that bubble screen, there's one play against the Rams in week 17. There was this little slip bubble screen that they ran with him coming into the slot and just took it 40 yards with a chunk game. They've got big receivers who can block.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter. The dude's got scoop. Just get him the ball and let him go. That's one thing that isn't happening with this offense. One of the 2 things that I think could unlock the entirety of it. And I could be completely wrong. But
no, I see what you guys are saying. And honestly, maybe the Khalil Shakir, because I love Khalil Shakir, and it made me think, oh my God, is that guy really small too? He's 6 foot and Greg Dortch is 5'7". But I get the idea of what you're trying to say. A little bit twitchier of an athlete. I do see the breakaway speed. One of the things that comes to my memory right away is the Chicago Bears game where he juked out one guy and took it all the way to the pylon and was the only guy there. I get all that, man. I think what just frustrates me about kind of hating Greg Dortch is not Greg Dortch, the player. It's the fact that they had no problem at times getting the ball to Greg Dortch, especially in that Bills game and that Chargers game last year. And we're struggling to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm like, if you get the guy in space, do the things that you're doing Greg Dortch with Marvin Harrison Jr., it felt like they were more creative with Dortch. And I'm like, you have better weapons. So that's where I feel like the pecking order, I just think, needs to be rearranged a little bit. I don't mean to come off as a complete hater of the guy. I like him. I just think maybe he's miscast a little much. That's where I'm going. And yes, I will always take the 6'4" guy, 6'2" guy over the 5'7" guy, the 5'7", 175-pound guy. Yeah. I also just don't think his body is built for that kind of wear and tear to be the number 2 on a team. I think he's built more as the 4. Well, you looking at me like that? You could have said this
Padawan, what am I going to say to you? What am I going to say to you that you just said about Marv not getting open? Sounds like a Marv problem. Greg Dortch is getting open. So maybe look at it from, these are all professional athletes. One guy's getting open and the other one isn't.
I thought you were going to tell me that because he's 5'7", he's not going to get injured more. So I was like, what are you talking about?
Michael Wilson's missed more time than Greg Dortch. So like all of these things are making it look better for Greg Dortch and not worse. So listen, Jamil, you've been in several different styles of offense. You've blocked for several different styles of quarterbacks, even though similarly, like most of the quarterbacks that you were in front of had the running capability, like Tannehill, even Taylor Heineke. You know, you had Tannehill twice, Taylor Heineke. Like you had dudes who were able to run the ball. Like, what do you think this offense, like, is it Greg Dortch? Like, he and I are arguing like idiots. Like, do you think that, like, with Kyler Murray's skill set, something you've blocked for in some capacity, is it easier for guys to get open and they're just not doing their jobs who aren't? Or is that like a hindrance to the actual flow of a traditional offense?
Man, that's tough. I think it is easier because I think it is easier to get open when you have a mobile quarterback, because you also have to be responsible for the quarterback getting out of the pocket. That being said, I've had mobile quarterbacks and I've had a year where none of our receivers were getting open, and it makes it tough, So I would say, we had a year before we got A.J. Brown, we had Marcus Mariota, and we had a tough time getting open. We just had a tough time getting open. I'm not saying we were getting clamped. I'm not saying, but we had a tough time getting open.
And then what did you do after A.J. Brown started to get open? You guys were like, you know what? This guy gets open too much. Let's get him out of here.
I mean, A.J. Brown didn't even have to be open. It was known that the ball was going to 11. So, toss the ball up to him. But listen, I think Greg Dortch, like I said, those other guys that I've named, he can have a similar role to them. You look at the Giants with Wan'Dale Robinson. He's basically their number 2. I think Wan'Dale has a different, almost similar skill set, but Wan'Dale's a little stockier in a sense. But I do think that there is space for this guy to create one or two explosive plays and just be on the field.
You just need to build space for the big dudes, the top dudes. That's it.
That's it.
That's why I'm screaming for it. It's like, try something else. What has worked hasn't worked. What they've done the last couple of years hasn't worked at the potential necessary.
Listen, you got Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson. You put Zay Jones on the field. You got Trey McBride, and then sprinkle the little guy in there and just make defenses have to worry about it. It's a great recipe.
I agree.
I think what people can take from this segment as we move on to our final segment and some Monty Ossenfort maybe critiquing of his way of building a roster. You guys prefer Greg Dortches and Khalif Raymonds of the world.
No.
And I'm just interested in dogs. I'm just interested in big.
No.
Is height included with being a dog? What the hell are we doing here?
God, this guy.
That's what we like to call a dig. That's like what we call. That's what we call just shoving the knife in a little bit. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Go to break.
The Cowboys general manager Jerry Jones is proceeding to be taking some shots at Micah Parsons, and I will continue to ask the question: why is Monty Ossenfort not on the phone bringing in a star pass rusher? Why are we just blindly following this idea that Monty Ossenfort's way worked when technically it hasn't yet? Let's talk about that next. First, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer spots are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf with the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make a game even more enticing. You've already been following the action. Why not make it a little bit more interesting? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Hey, listen, I've been using FanDuel for a couple of years now when it comes to checking lines. My personal favorite is betting the spreads of football games. And I feel like we're close enough to talk about this. Week 1, I know on the road against New Orleans Saints, where the Super Bowl was just held, but 5.5 against whatever trash can they're rolling out at quarterback for the some dude named Shuck, sounds a little too close to suck. The Arizona Cardinals minus 5.5. Yeah, you know what? I think if I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of anything, I'm doing it on that game and a blowout against the New Orleans Saints on the road. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bet if your first bet wins. So when the Cardinals go on the road and take on Tyler Suck of the New Orleans Saints and beat them down by double digits, you get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. You guys like that? You guys like me calling Tyler Shuck Tyler Suck? I was hoping I'd get a couple of laughs.
That was really creative. It was really creative of you.
You guys are the worst. Hey, just so everyone knows, whenever we have like our chats and we're coming up with the show, I somehow continue to be the butt of every joke. They're still talking about how I can't drink water effectively. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about why Monty Ossenfort still hasn't picked up the phone, to my knowledge, and picking up a guy like Micah Parsons. Yesterday, Jerry Jones,
no guy like Micah Parsons walking around.
Listen, Jerry Jones randomly takes a shot at Micah Parsons, even saying if they sign him, it doesn't mean that they'll have him. God, Jerry Jones is such an idiot. Because he was hurt for 6 games last year, fact check, he only missed 4. Basically saying, well, if we sign him, it doesn't mean he's actually going to be here. Seriously, I think Jerry Jones, side note, says something stupid in the mirror every day and is like, you know what? I should say that in front of a group of people. And then Micah Parsons retweeted all those interactions with Jerry Jones yesterday, talking about when Micah Parsons' contract situation. He's expected to show up to camp. The Cowboys like to wait until the last second to give someone as much money as they can and wait for everyone else to get paid. You know, that way good business is done, right? This is my point. Monty Ossenfort has run this regime by building it up from the ground up, getting rid of all the crap that Steve Keim did, and bringing in better player, getting a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. We keep talking about this way Monty Ossenfort builds a team, but to be fair, there actually isn't anything to show for it yet in terms of real playoff wins. I will continue to beat the drum of you don't know when your shot is going to be, and I will argue it's either this year or next year. And if it's next year, darn, you have Micah Parsons on the Cardinals next year. Maybe it's Hendrickson, maybe it's Micah Parsons. I get the Monty Ossenfort philosophy of we're just going to be patient, but come on, like, can we have a little bit of fun here, Clancy?
That's a completely different question. I'm having fun all the time. And you know what? You told me that Jerry Jones was your idol. Now I understand why. You know, I didn't know that before. Now I get it.
Jones is not my idol.
A lot of jokes. Look at something, say dumb in the mirror, say it to everybody else. When it comes to when it comes to what Monty Ossenfort has done, the history of sport, champions build teams this way. That it's just like overwhelmingly, you draft well, you develop talent, you extend talent, you win. Like that. That's what it's been. What the Eagles did was they just got 2 salary caps. I think they got 2. Like I don't know how they did what they did. But what Monty Ossenfort has done is boring. It's methodical. It's functional, and that's how you win. What Jerry Jones has done is the opposite of that. Jerry Jones doesn't know how to run a professional sports team. He's been getting discounts on movie theaters for a long time. We don't know what's going on between his ears at this point. When it comes to Micah Parsons, it would have had to have happened immediately after the end of last season for me. And like I did a show, Marvin Harrison Jr. and 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons. Who says no? This is before the George Pickens trade. Like Jerry Jones would have said yes to that. He needed a wide receiver. He wanted picks. The Cardinals could have had their transcendent talent in the middle. I'd much rather have what they did this offseason than one Micah Parsons. And I'm so happy that it happened the way that it did for me.
Jamil, have you ever been a part of a franchise that was like this methodical, slow grow? I know you spent some time with Monty Ossenfort, not actually talking to each other, but seeing the Patriot way. This is kind of what it is, right?
Yeah.
Slowly.
How's that worked out for them?
Exactly.
Let me add the greatest quarterback of all time to the team. All right.
No, but listen, from a standpoint of building a roster, Monty Ossenfort is from the Bill Belichick tree. They never went and got this established pass rusher to go and change the dynamic of the team. It was just, we're going to build the roster to compete, build it based on the division that we're in, what makes us better than, the guys that we're going to be playing, and go from there. So he's literally a product of his environment. He's never going to make that big splash for a pass rusher. He's just going to do what he knows, and that's get his quarterback a receiver, get him some weapons, build his defense out, and reevaluate from there. So, yeah, that was going to be my answer the whole time is like, look, I saw this out in New England. Who's the best pass rusher on those teams in New England? Rob Ninkovich. That was it. But they didn't go make a splash to get Rob Ninkovich, It was just something that just kind of happened, and you go from there.
They traded Chandler Jones away, bro. Like, they let Jamie Collins walk. Like, all of their dudes, they just let fly butterfly a year too early. It's a Belichick way. And Jamil, the organizations Jamil's been a part of. Were you there when Jason Light was there in Tampa Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait, I never played.
He didn't play.
I think there. No. You had Tennessee with Mike Vrabel, stability. Okay.
Yes.
You had the most stable organization in sports since the San Antonio Spurs. Like that's what it was for 2 decades. Yeah. That's what Monty Ossenfort is trying to replicate. Boring wins.
Okay. This is my final question. Let's say the Cardinals make the playoffs this year or barely miss, and it feels like they're a splash move away. Do you think Monty will ever push the chips all in, 2 first-round picks like that? Like I feel like the max that you can really go. If you're trading 3 first-round picks, it's probably for a quarterback. But you're putting in 2 first-round picks or a first and 2 seconds or whatever for a guy like Micah Parsons, who knows, someone insane down the line. Do you think Monty will ever be that guy? Because if it's a no, then I'll just stop asking you guys the question. Or is it about time frame?
I don't think. I think it's based on what you lacked during the year that didn't get you over the hump. I don't think. Obviously he's looking at middle of the road as a pass rushing team. I think you go and address that with your cornerback. Okay, that's going to give your defensive line more time. You go get the linebacker who can kind of, handle things in the middle of the field. I don't think that he's ever going to be that guy that just gets rid of what he believes in and says, I'm going to get this one guy that's going to change the dynamic of our team.
Yeah, because what that does is dynamic, excellently put, Jamil Douglas. Because if you trade for Micah Parsons, you're not being able to pay Garrett Williams. You're not being able to pay Paris Johnson Jr. You're not able to pay Will Johnson when it comes up. You're not able to pay anybody else. Like, it's not about having. Yeah, do you want me to give you the and one? I'll give you the and one.
I think he's doing like the around the horn Tom Rinaldi. You hit the when you make a good point.
I want to sound.
That would have been an instant move into the showdown. You get 70 points, instant move, take the rest of the show off. Because that's the thing. Like, it's not about just Micah Parsons. All joking aside, it's not just about that. It's about 1 to 22. And 1 to 22 now looks far better than if the Cardinals would have had to trade draft capital for Micah Parsons, in my opinion. Okay, so you have no Walter Nolan, you have no Will Johnson, probably. You have no first rounder next year. Plus, you got to give him all the cheese that King Midas has. Like, it's great to have, and you're putting all of your eggs in the basket that dude plays 15-plus games for the next 5 years. I understand it's a risk. I understand he's great. And the Cardinals roster is better off without him now, the way it's constructed.
I'm not going to lie to you. You guys continue to make really good points. It's just frustrating because, like, I will just continue to beat home the drum. I do think there's a world where this Cardinals team can make a deep playoff run, and I don't want to be caught flat-footed because we're going up against Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, and we don't have that blue chip guy to make those guys feel it, like feel some pressure. Maybe they don't need it, and that's totally fair. They've got a lot better guys this year. Anyways, thank you guys for making the Locked On Cardinals Squad show your first listen. Your first listen day. Make sure your second listen is Locked On NFL Scouting as training camps get closer and moves are being made. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. For Jamil Douglas, Alex Clancy, myself, Benjamin Garcia, and everyone in the chat, we will talk to you guys on Thursday.
You're